Good evening, good evening, everybody. It's another episode of the Authors Showcase. It's your boy, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. Um, this episode of the Author Showcase is, of course, brought to you by the National Black Unity News and JNF Enterprises, where we just bring you some of our most powerful, thought provoking writers, authors, producers of literary art that you could possibly think of. We are privileged to hopefully bring you people that will engage you, that will make you think, that will give you books that will enlighten you, empower you, and impact you. Hopefully, that's something that will teach you something. They will equip you with something, and it's something that will impact you to want to do something. And so, this particular episode is no different than any others. I'm telling you, every time that I do the showcase and have a conversation with the authors that are part of the showcase, I get more excited each time because each author has just brought so much substance, I believe, so much richness to what it is that we call literature. And my thing is about people reading more this year because they say that the average person only reads one book per year. So my mission, part of my mission is to get people to read more. And they said if you read an average of 20 pages a day, you will have read 30 books within a year. I'm gonna say that again, y'all. If you read an average of 20 pages a day, you will have read an average of 30 books in a year. Can you imagine that you reading 30 books and somebody else reading one book? The amount of knowledge that you gain over them by just reading one book and you reading 30 books. I'm gonna leave that right there for y'all to think about. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the showcase. And this young lady here, and I just finished telling her that um, I I, um, I do I try to do my homework so that I can learn a little bit about the authors, know a little bit about or learn something about their books, and everything like that, so that I can sound like I know a little bit of what they're talking about. But when I read about when I read the overview and the synopsis of her book, I was like, oh, I was like, wait a minute, I was like, this sounds kind of good. So I was very intrigued by the topic of her book, and we're going to be talking about it in a second, and allow her to introduce herself. But I think this conversation is going to be one that I think is necessary. I think it's needed. I don't think we talk about it enough, but also I think she's going to give us a little twist on about what we talk about when it comes to love's pain, when it comes to love, relationships, and all of those other things in between. But I want to introduce to everyone Miss Sheila Tyson, author, writer, and so much more. She has so much more going on, and we'll talk about those other things that she has going on too, as well. But I want everyone to meet Miss Sheila Tyson. Miss Tyson, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, awesome. Thank you for joining me on the Author Showcase today. I really appreciate you being with us.
Happy to be here.
Good, good, good. Now, I usually start off my conversations by having having you tell us just a little bit about Sheila Tyson and who she is. So, who is Sheila Tyson?
Oh, I'm a community leader, I would say. I have a mentorship program for young men. Okay, we teach young men how to be men.
Mm,
Okay, we teach them how to use their voices to make a difference in the community.
Mhm.
Okay. And so we also deal with the school system and education system. We have an after school program where we teach young men chess and civics.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to make sure they have all the necessary tools they need to succeed.
Mhm. Wow, and I definitely want to talk to you a little bit more about that once we get into the other things. But I really appreciate that. And you talk about chess because I love the game of chess. And I always remember being a little boy, and my dad was one of the directors of a summer program here in Baltimore. And the program was from like 6 to 10. So we would
Okay.
come, have dinner, and then we would play some kind of, you play a couple of sports, whether it was baseball, whether it was basketball, swimming, all of those different things to give you, make us a well-rounded person. But one of the things that we got taught and that he taught me was the game of chess. And I always remember sitting and playing chess with him, playing chess with the other young men that were part of the program and everything like that, and just how important that was to
It
me.
is. Yeah.
It really is. And the game of chess is so correlated to life, those life skills
Yes.
that we
Yes.
had.
That's the whole purpose. That's the whole purpose of teaching them at a young age so they can use it outside.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So I love that. That is cool. So I definitely want to have you talk a little bit more about that program before we finish
Okay.
here. Um, I want to ask you this, and we'll start here. What got you started writing? What made you become a writer? How long have you been writing?
Reading books for years. I read like Donald Goins, Terry Woods, Carl Reber, just all the different urban fiction. I love them books, and I read so much. And I always thought, no, this story should have ended another way. So I
Hmm.
just decided to write my own, end it my way, and it never ended. I got three books. So that's what
Abs-
got me started, just
so,
reading.
mhm. Now, was there a particular type of I know you said the urban fiction. Was that are your three books in that particular lane, or do you have a kind of are you
Um,
diverse in your writing?
they go all over. They go,
Okay,
no, they go different places.
okay, okay,
Start off one way and end up somewhere else. So yeah. Yeah, I didn't stick with just that one lane.
okay. Now, was there a reason that you went into the different ones, or was it just you having the fascination of wanting to be able to write as a writer, being diverse like that?
I was happy to be diverse like that. And then once I started telling the story, it had more to it. So I had to keep going with what I got with the relationships.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, okay. Now, if I ask you, and I'm gonna ask you this, if there's one word that you would use to describe your writing style, because like you said, you've written different types of books, what would that writing style be?
Um, if we're talking about love's pain, let's go with what I see in relationships. I want to say what I see in relationships. That's where we'd be at with that.
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
Telling the truth about relationships.
Wow. Wow. Oh, I like that because I had an author that was on the showcase earlier too, and she talked about the title of her book is actually right here, My Truth, and
Okay.
talking about truth and truth telling, and what happens when we are able to walk in our truth and tell our truth. So I think that's vitally important. Now, can you tell me about
Yes.
what made you want to write Love's Fame? What was it that triggered you? And was that the first book that you wrote, Love's Fame, or was it one of the other ones?
Yeah. Let me be honest. I wrote this book 15 years ago.
Okay, okay, okay.
15 years ago, I wrote it and put it in the corner.
Uh-huh.
And then when I was moving, I picked it up and I read it and I'm like, oh, the world has to hear this. So then that made me finish it and finally get it published.
Okay.
So this
Now,
was like 15 years in the making. Okay.
wow, wow. No, but I love that though. But um, what made you write Love's Pain when you wrote it 15 years ago?
Um, different stories, the different, I mean, it's relationship story that I read was always pain. It was all, that's where the title from, I think.
Uh-oh. Hey, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Can
Yeah,
you
I
hear
hear
me,
you.
shit?
I hear you now.
Okay. No, no, I was asking you about what made you write it 15 years ago. What made you pick up the pen? Because had you written before you wrote
I can
Love
hear
Spring?
you now. Yeah.
Had you
Yep.
written?
Off and on.
Now go ahead.
Okay. And I think the story is more like how we fall in love and how we fall in love with being in love. No matter how
Mm,
ugly it gets, we determine to fight for this love. So that's basically what the book is about. How
mhm.
determined we get to fight for something that's really not there.
Now, what was the
Okay, you're back.
yeah, okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Now, what was
Yes.
the, if you can, tell us a little bit about the book and then the purpose of Love's Poem. What do you want the reader to come away with?
Purpose. Um, the book is about a relationship that goes wrong. It goes wrong, and it talks about how it affects everybody else around you.
Mhm,
When you're in a bad relationship, how it affects everybody around you, including the kids.
mhm, mhm,
Part one and two was about the relationship. Then I got the third book, Keisha's story. It talks about the product of a toxic relationship.
mm,
And that tells what happens to the kids when they grow up after experience mom and dad being in a toxic relationship.
mhm, mhm. Now, can you talk a little bit about because I don't want to give away the story, of course, but
Okay.
how decisions that we make when it comes to relationships and toxic relationships, um, how we deal with the consequences of those choices that we
How we deal with them? I don't know if we deal with them.
make. No, well, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I don't even know if we deal with them. I think we just pretend everything is okay. I think we talk about everybody else's issues and relationships, but I don't think we really look at our own. We just go home and pretend it's okay. We
Wow.
step out the door and act like everything's okay at home.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know if we really deal with them. But that's what this book is about. I want everybody to sit at a table and talk about the toxic relationships. I want us to bring up what's going on with us,
Mhm.
how our partner makes us feel small, how our partner criticizes us and devalues us, So that way maybe we can start talking to our younger people and have them see the red flags before they get too deep.
Mhm.
Uh-oh. I think, yeah, before they get too deep into a relationship.
Yeah, because I was having this conversation earlier today, and they were saying how, like you said, that we don't deal with our um
Yes.
our issues or our truth, but she said we see it, we see it in others, and we get, she didn't say pleasure, but she said we get um I guess we follow it, or it seems to be what we gravitate to because of the hurt that we don't deal with in ourselves, like
Yeah.
you were just saying.
That's true because when we see it out there, we figure ours is not that bad, so ours is okay. So we busy, we put theirs on the table, and theirs seem bad. We make theirs worse than what it really is. So
Now,
I
let me
don't
ask,
think we deal with it. In our homes. We don't deal with it.
mhm. Now, do you think that when we can talk about other people's pain, and everything like that, it deflects from
Yes,
having to deal with it.
yes, yes. We'll go outside and hold hands like everything is okay.
Mhm.
And that's really what this book is about for us, especially women, to
Okay.
sit at the table and talk about what hurts us, what's bothering us,
Mhm.
you know. And if it gets too bad, we got to figure out an exit plan. We got to figure out a way to get out of it, so it don't damage the kids too much.
Mhm, mhm. Now, if we can, just talk, if you can, talk a little bit about the premise of the story and um and what that means. If you can just describe a little bit about the characters that you have in there, and because it's intriguing. It intrigued me. Like I said, you tell the dynamics of the story if you can.
Asia. Asia's a good girl. You know, she's a CEO of her own company. Like I know a lot of women running their own business, doing their thing, making money. And then she runs into this bad boy. Um, she falls in love with him, you know, but she's really green. She don't really know much about the street, you know.
Okay, okay.
Takes her for a ride and she falls in love with him and he in love with her, but he knows nothing about love. He knows nothing about relationships, you know. And they, I don't know, I don't want to get into the story,
Right,
but
right.
it's just all the ups and downs that they have. And then it talks about the friendships that they have and how it's included with their toxic relationship.
Wow.
Then it goes on to the second book, it gets deeper. But the third book is the real thing where it affects the kids, where the kids are grown. And the way they acted when the kids were young, they're not acting like that now because they matured.
Mhm.
But the kids are still affected by it. Even though they're teenagers, they haven't forgot what mom and dad showed them when they were what, 3, 4, 5? They remember that. So they figured this is how a relationship is supposed to be.
Now, when you wrote Love's Pain, initially wrote it, did you have an idea that it would come that it would evolve into a series, or was it you
No,
just like, hey, I just want to write this book and then
no, I didn't know. But stuff just kept coming.
okay,
More stuff kept coming. So okay, I had to stop this one here and go into the next. You know, so no, stuff just kept coming. Once I got started, it just wouldn't stop. So
and that's kind now. Did you find yourself when it came to writing the story of Asia and everything like? Because I've had fiction authors talk about this, that the characters take on a persona of their own. They just kind of morph into who they are, and they become real people to to the author.
yeah,
Was
yeah, they
that
are
the
real
same?
people. Oh yeah, when I was writing, this was a real person. All of them were real people. So yeah, yeah.
Now, did to write it, because I'm always curious to know how non fiction writers, because I'm a nonfiction writer. I'm not a
Okay.
fiction writer, and I'm always curious how you all come up with these ideas of these create whole people. You know what I'm saying?
The
Like you just have
imagination. The imagination is so powerful, you know?
it.
Just the imagination and having time to yourself. You have to have time to yourself for your imagination to be. So yeah, just your imagination.
Now, was part of this about experiences that you've seen and your thoughts on, how what you saw at the state of relationships and everything like that, where they've gone?
Yes, yes. From people talking about their relationships to what I've seen to, I mean, it's yeah, just everything. A little bit of everything.
Mhm, mhm. I like that. I like that. I like that because that's usually when I guess fiction writers, you all do use, I believe you all use some of experiences that you may have gone through yourself. You may know someone who's gone through certain experiences, or what you see in life in general. Because I know I write poetry. I love poetry, and
Okay.
when I first started writing poetry back in college, which was what I was doing, I was just writing to be writing to get stuff out of my head, and then it
Okay.
came from um, some of my experiences, what I had experienced, but then also some things that I'd seen, through world experiences, things that I'd seen in the world, but then also what I'd seen other people experiencing, some people that I knew that experienced certain things. So I would write about those things, and I see similarities in that what you all do as fiction, as fiction writers, to be able to
Yeah.
create these phenomenal stories that people get into. Because as I read the overview of the book, I'm like, man, this sounds like a great movie. you know,
Yeah, it's gonna be a movie one day. I don't know when, but
you know,
we'll make a movie one day because it'll be good.
yeah. because to me it has those elements of what make a good movie. It has the, you know, the suspense. It has the drama, of course. It takes you kind of on that roller coaster,
Roller
you know, yeah,
coaster.
that roller
Yeah.
coaster ride that a good dramatic story kind of takes you through. And then even you sound like there's even a story within the stories, you know,
Yes.
as well, which I always feel like that always makes a good a good movie, because you can see, and even a TV show, those are stories within stories, because you have somewhere to kind of go to, in addition to
Yeah.
just the main characters that you have and stuff like that.
But when people read this book, and especially women, this is what I want them to get out of it. We're going to talk
Mm,
about these toxic relationships, okay? That's what we're going to talk about. Women and men too. It's not just
yeah,
women,
yeah.
men too. You know, men feel it too. We're going to talk about why we stay in them. We're going to
Mhm.
have to figure out why we stay in them, why we fight so hard for something that's not there. You
Wow.
know, I think
And,
that's the key.
and
We
that's it.
fight hard for something that we know it's not there.
And
So,
that is so
and
deep.
it's hard to write. It's hard to do the things that you want to do when you spend so much of your time battling. I guess at home, I want to say the people you have at home, whether it's your spouse, family, friends, whatever, you know.
Mhm. Now you
Because
said you mentioned.
the
No,
book
go ahead.
talks about all relationships,
Mhm.
family relationships, friends, and boyfriend and girlfriend, or man
Yeah.
and woman. You know, it goes through all of them.
And I love the fact that you mentioned something earlier. You said you weren't just talking about the two people, or the relationship.
Mhm.
You talk about the people that it affects around the
Around them,
relationship.
yes.
You talk, how important is that we, you know, that we have that conversation, like we talked about, when it comes to toxic relationships, that we talk about the people that it affects, on the outside of that.
Because all of us have a purpose. All of us have something that we should be doing. And in our community, we can't get ahead if we're so busy battling these relationships that we have. You know, it's hard to be all you can be when you're spending all your time and energy battling a relationship, you know, fighting for love or fighting for, you know, whatever it is you're fighting for when it comes to another person in the relationship.
Now, are some relationships worth fighting for?
Um, it depends. Are some we're fighting for? I don't think if it's not there, it's not there.
Mhm, mhm.
If it's not there, it's not there. If there's too much pain, it's time to get out.
Yeah, yeah. And wow, you just said something. If there's too much pain there, do do
Time to
you
get out. Yeah.
do you think people wait too long, and when they've gotten to so much pain, and then finally say, you know what, yeah, I gotta get out, as opposed to saying it should have gotten out, you know, let's say 6 months earlier, a year earlier, 2 years
I don't
earlier, or never gotten into it in the first place.
exactly, but I don't think it's ever too late. But I think people, once you invest in each other, you don't want to give up that investment. It's hard to give up that investment, and I can understand that. But if it's hurting everybody around you, you got to think about, you know, the kids. You got to think about, you know, your health, your well-being.
And I've always said that you gotta love yourself more than you
Yes.
love someone else,
Anybody else?
and that even to me, that even includes your kids. I've never believed
Kids. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
saying that, oh, I'm going to stay in the relationship for the kids. You do, to me, you do more harm to
You
the
do.
kids
Yes.
by staying in a toxic relationship than, than not, than getting out of it and dealing with it from the outside.
That's where I got the product of a toxic relationship from, because so many people say that and they damage themselves and they damage the kids. So yeah, it's a lot to talk about. That's why I want to talk about it, you know?
Yeah, okay. Why should people talk about it? Why do people
Why
need to
should they
sit
talk about it?
and have those conversations?
Because it's the norm for some people. They don't even know they're in a destructive relationship because their parents did it, everybody else in the family's doing it. So it's the norm, you know? And it's not normal.
Yeah, I love that, because it can, having those conversations, I believe, break cycles. You know, I think
Yeah.
so. I believe that
Yes.
it breaks cycles. But I've also learned too that most people don't like controversy. They don't
Right.
they don't like controversy or confrontation, I should say. They don't
Right.
like confrontation. And like you said, when you have to talk about dealing with something that's confrontational, people
Yes.
tend to, shy
Just be
away from.
quiet
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
go along.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I've had
Yes,
so
they
many
do.
people that have said that in their adult life. Um,
Yes.
and can you speak to that a little bit? Is that what you talk a little bit about with Asia and her character in the book? There was the effects that you talked about the children, and as they got
Hmm.
older, when we don't deal with stuff in the beginning and we kind of push it into the world, the effects of it when we get into adulthood.
Yes, what happens when they get older is they okay, they're doing their thing, but they forgot how they damaged the kids when they were young.
Mm,
So now they're trying to figure out why is this happening. They totally forgot what they exposed the kids to when the kids were young. So,
mm.
and
Yeah.
that's the reason why I want to talk about it so we can stop damaging the kids.
Mm, yeah.
As a whole community, we have to stop damaging the kids so the kids can be who they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For the
Now, how,
book, the book series, I think I want to sit. I want the women to talk because in my mentorship program, we're going to teach the young men. We're going to teach them all of
mhm,
this.
right. Now, how did you come up with with the title? Those things.
Loves pain,
Yeah, how did you come up with the title?
loves pain, because of the because of the pain, because of the pain. Just like you said, because of the
She was like,
pain you
love
go
pain.
through, the pain you go through in love, the pain you go through in love. That's all. Just either be in love, stay in love, or pretend you're in love.
I like that. To be in love. Would you say to be in love? To pretend to
I
be in
said,
love?
I said either
Or
being in love or pretending you're in love or just to have somebody.
mm, wow. Those are three states of love.
It's a lot. It goes all over. It's a lot.
I like that. I like that. Now, what does love's pain mean to you? What does that title mean?
Loves pain. I just want everybody to know that you're going through something. You're going. Every relationship goes through something.
Mm,
So it's okay, when you're in love or you fall in love or you're in a relationship and things go wrong. It's okay. Love because everybody hurts sometimes, but it doesn't mean you have to hurt each other.
mm, mm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's what I want to bring to the table. If somebody starts hurting you and you start feeling anxious and they make you crazy and you're not happy anymore, then that's a problem.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a problem, and I think that people hopefully will recognize when there is a problem or those red flags, like we talked about earlier, and being able to
Or at least talk
recognize.
about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about it, then I think you're more readily to recognize the flags,
Right.
and
Right.
then have to, then it's up to you to decide how you will deal with those flags that you see.
Right.
And they can't be ignored. And I can't remember. I wish I could put it up here, but on my Facebook newsfeed, let me see if I can find it real quick. But it talked about red flags. If I can find it real quick, it was really really good, and I really loved it. And a friend of mine posted, and I was like, "Oh, this is really really good." I bet you I can't find it. But can you give our audience um, 3 steps to dealing with the pain of love and the consequences of our choices? Because 2022 to me it's building season. It's about building and rebuilding, whether it's
Yes.
rebuilding yourself or rebuilding the business, whatever it is that you're rebuilding. Can you talk about those? What 3 steps would you give someone in dealing with their pain, their pain of love, what they're going with the choices that they're making?
First thing you have to do is admit it. You have to admit there's some issues there, you know?
Mm,
And then I'll go back to what I said before, how you feel. And you know when somebody's making you feel small all the time, You know that, so you have to talk about it. When they attack your self-worth, that's a problem. When everything you do, something is wrong. When they criticize everything you do, they didn't do that in the beginning, but now they criticizing everything you do. So it's time to start, either talk with your partner or talk to somebody else about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, here's the quote, and they were talking about relationships. It says, "Stop trying to love the red flags out of people."
Yeah, yeah,
I thought that was I thought that was really good. I'm like, because
yeah.
I do think that we sometimes do we see the red flags we want to ignore, and we ignore them, and we still get involved. We still um, we still say, okay, I'm still going to move forward. And sometimes it's done for one of those three reasons that you gave. And a lot of people don't want to be alone. You know,
Yes,
they'd
yes.
rather suffer through that pain
To
than,
have somebody.
yeah,
Yeah.
than to say, hey, be healthy,
Hmm.
and have a healthy mind, have a healthy mind and healthy mindset. Um, than to be in a relationship that they don't want to be in. And I see so many people, and
That's not good for them.
I'm talking from celebrities, and I think I ain't gonna say
Hmm.
their names, but certain
Of
celebrities
course.
that are just miserable, absolutely miserable in their relationships, and they're so afraid for whatever reason, whatever the reason
They
is.
don't know what to do. Some people don't know what to
Well,
do.
is it that they don't know what to do, or they're afraid of what they have to do?
Could be. I've heard many people say, I don't want to give them half. Okay,
Right.
well, you're gonna be miserable then. Half. I'd rather have half and be happy than have a whole
That was
thing and be unhappy. That's
yeah,
that's your choice. That's.
yeah. And it's all about and I've learned it too. It's all about your peace. Is your peace, PEACE, worth, like you were just saying, half? All I want is peace. I want peace,
Right,
and I'd rather have
right.
a half of half, and like you said, be at peace, than to have all of it and still be totally miserable. You know,
Because I believe you can make a lot more with peace than you can without it.
yeah, yeah,
You
absolutely,
can get that other half back quick.
yeah. Yeah, and also too, just to even talk a little bit about the like we talked about the healthy aspect of it. That when you're in these toxic relationships, the mental cost of it, the physical
Hmm.
cost of it on your body,
Yes.
and what it takes you through, because you can't be, a lot of people when they are in toxic relationships, one of the ways that they deal with it is eating the wrong foods. It's not like
Drinking.
yeah, drinking. They become they,
Drinking.
they go to certain substances
Yes.
to try and numb,
Deal with it.
yeah, to try
Deal
and
with it.
deal
Yeah.
with it. Figuring, hey, if I take drugs, if I have alcohol, I don't necessarily have to deal with the pain of it or the toxicity of the relationship. It just
Yes.
and as a result of that, they wind up just every time they subside, they got to get back up to ignore it.
Hmm.
So they wind up
They
doing,
start killing themselves, in other
yeah,
words. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And in our community, that's happened, but I don't think we have to do that anymore.
mhm,
I don't think we have to live like that anymore.
yeah,
Back in our grandparents, maybe parents' day, but now I don't think anybody has to live like that anymore.
yeah. We really, to me, we really don't. And I won't say there's no excuse for us to live that way, um, just because of the things that we have, the resources and different things that we have access
Mhm.
to be able to assist us to be able to deal with, you know, whatever that relationship may have done to us from a mental
Yes.
perspective. And I think that when we deal with those relationships, the earlier we deal with them, the less I think effect it can have on us as we go into or move into another relationship or even like you said, if it's a family member, if you tell them about something
Yes.
with family members, because even that in and of itself, they go, family members go years not speaking to each other.
Mhm.
You
You
know,
don't want that to happen. You just rather just love them from a distance. Just say, hey, call them, how you doing? And keep it,
right?
you don't have to be around them all the time because it's your family. But if it's not good, yeah, stay away.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And why do you think it's important for us to stand in the choices we make when it comes to love? Because I know your book deals with this Asia who has to make some choices
Mhm.
in what she's, in who she is and who she becomes and all those things. How important is it for us to say, hey, yes, that will be accountable? How
Okay.
important is that for us to be accountable?
And see, right now, I don't think we have to stand in our choices anymore. We don't have to
Okay,
stand in them. Like
okay.
I said before, when it gets bad, just get out. Let's get out. If it gets too bad, let's just get out.
Mhm,
When they leave
mhm.
you drained, leave, it's time to go.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But even that, even making that choice of leaving, that to
Hmm.
me is also standing in the choice to leave. Saying, you know
Okay.
what? In spite of what I know it may cost me, like we talk about half, it may cost me,
Yeah.
but I still
But
make
it's
that
not
decision
it's
to
not
leave.
only financial now.
Right. Absolutely.
Sometimes if a person's not treating you right, that love, that heart, you're still attached by the heart.
Yeah.
The love is still there,
Yeah.
but it's too bad, so you leave. And if that love and that attachment of the heart is still there, it's hard to stay away. Anything will bring you right back when it
Yeah.
comes to the heart. So
Now is that what Asia dealt with in the
I'm not
story?
gonna tell you about the whole book.
I don't want to. I'm just
You
asking
gotta read the book.
for a little piece about
No,
what.
you gotta read it. I'm just saying sometimes that heart is hard. That's why people go
I
back
like
and
that. I
forth all
like
the time
I
because
like
that
that.
love is still there, but they're not being treated right. So
Yeah, and you never want to be in a place or at a place where you're not being treated right. I don't care what it
yeah,
costs you. You just don't. It ain't easy. Like saying it's. I don't think it's ever easy to walk away. You know what I'm saying?
right,
But
right.
but having the being strong enough to walk away, and as I said before, loving yourself enough to walk away.
Walk away exactly. No matter what the heart is telling you, if you're smart, you got to walk away. You might bounce back a few times, but in
Right.
the end,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in
So
the end,
I want you to what's next for you? Because I know you have this one and you have the series. Do you have anything that you're
yes.
working on that you're working on now? Any books that you're working on now, or that you any events coming up that you wanna talk about that people should know about?
No, I'm just still busy doing books. I got like three children's books coming out, a couple of coloring books is coming out.
Yeah,
Then
talk a
with
little
my
bit about that because
program,
you talk the other genres that you delve into.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I got a coloring book, all my grandchildren. It's just about all my grandchildren
Oh,
having
cool.
fun and just different things, going to the carnival.
Mhm.
Just that was just for them. Yeah, that was just for them.
Oh, and that
And
is
then I
so
got
cool.
with my program, A Coming to Kings, I got a coloring book for that. And that's teaching little kids. Well, that's telling what we do in Coming to Kings. I have a kids book coming out for them, and that's how to be a leader. That's for all the kids, like in elementary school. It's going to give them a heads up on how to be a leader.
I love that. I
So I'm
love that.
working on quite a few projects right now.
I love it. I love it. And I want you to talk about your organization coming. Is it Coming of Kings? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes,
Tell us a little bit
coming
about that.
of coming of Kings, our future leaders. That's what it's called.
Mhm.
It's a mentorship program we have every Saturday in Edgewood,
Okay.
Maryland. It's it's designed to help boys work through their issues. A lot of kids, young men, don't have a men around to talk to. Not all of them.
Mhm.
So I have men, like 3 or 4 mentors, are at the school, at the rec center, and the kids come. They talk to them. They Some things they just can't tell their mom.
Yeah,
Some things these young
absolutely.
men can't talk to their mom about. So these
Mhm.
men are there for them to talk to. where we address all their needs, help with the self-esteem, culture, education. We try to give them positive images. We've been to the college, we've been to Morgan State University.
Okay.
We've took them to the African American Museum in DC.
Mhm.
We take them bowling sometimes.
Oh, cool.
We just went to Applebee's maybe 2 weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
teaching them how to eat in public, teaching them how to
Absolutely.
use the fork and spoon,
Yeah.
you know.
I remember years ago, I did this presentation on etiquette for young
Okay.
men. And it
Hmm.
was so important because the young men these days, they don't understand how to date, but it was about what you do when you go to a restaurant, knowing the different
Yes.
forks, the different spoons, how,
Yes.
pulling out the chair for the young lady, opening the doors for the young
Yes.
lady. All of
Yeah, they
those,
don't know.
yeah, they really don't. They really don't. So that's cool. And we even did I
Yeah.
remember in that too, we did how to tie a tie, showing them how to actually how to
Yeah.
tie a tie,
Just the
because that's
basic
important.
things, We play chess every week. Every week
Yeah.
we teach them how to play chess.
Okay.
And we also use that in everyday life. We teach them why they need to know how to play chess. And they love it. All the boys love coming to play chess. That's the first thing they do. And of course, we give them healthy snacks. They have to eat healthy. We do a lot with these guys.
That's
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, we have an
okay.
Instagram page,
Mhm.
and most of the stuff is on the website. The website has even the pictures. Like one guy came in and showed them how the drones operate and let them fly the drones.
Oh,
And we
cool.
kind of teach them because everybody's not college material. So if they don't want to go to college, whatever route they want to take, we make sure we help them. We talk to them about that.
I
But
love
it's
that.
all about making sure these guys succeed in school. I bring in a math teacher, tutor. He's a math professor, he's a tutor. And I bring in an English one to make sure they can read and write.
I like that. I like that.
So
I like that.
we got all, and we teach their history.
Yeah.
We teach them African American history because that's very, very important to these young men.
And I don't know if you show them movies or not, but there's a movie, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called Finding Bobby Fischer. Um, but it is a phenomenal movie about this young boy who's being taught by a chess master, and it's
Mhm.
about his coming of age, and he gets into this chess tournament because he's really good. So his
Yeah.
parents get him a chess master to teach him the game of chess. So he's teaching him, and he gets these lessons. And the climax is him going to this tournament, and he has to play the top young boy. So it's about him playing this top young boy. I ain't trying to give the movie away, but it's called
Well,
Searching.
I've seen the movie.
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. But I don't know if you've shown it to them, but it's a great movie for them to see.
Yeah. I've showed them the one with Good King, We Are Kings or something.
Okay, I
Gooding
guess
Keeper
sounds
Jr. in
familiar.
it, the one where he plays after school, then he buys a house and he plays
Okay,
chess.
okay.
Yeah, that's the one I showed him. I
Show them.
showed him that one. Because
Yeah.
that was more of a street guy running the streets, and then he was really, really good at chess and didn't know it. So,
Mm,
he made him a star like that. So
I
yeah.
love that. But yeah. But that's so important. I love what your organization does for young men. Now, what got you into doing that? What made you start that organization? Can you,
Coming to Kings,
yeah.
our future leaders, we need more leaders. We need more. I mean, we need groups of leaders, not just one here, one there. We need them all to stick together. So I figure if I come up with a little organization where they have each other's back as far as trying to become leaders, it'll make it easier than just one standing on their own.
That's awesome. Now, how can people?
There's
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
there's so much going on with our young men, a lot out there. Our young men are dealing with so much more than I think the other generations had too. So they need help. We need mentorship programs in every corner.
Yeah,
There's not enough.
yeah. It's really not, especially um, in the area here in Baltimore City, and the importance of having, like you said, those mentors, men that they can see, that they can visibly see and be connected to, that show them a better way, because everything that
Yes, yes.
they're surrounded by is a lot of negativity, and we have to have something to combat that. Now, how can people connect with you? One, to purchase the book. Where can they go buy the book? And then I want you to give the organization's information too.
Yeah, it should be ready the middle of May. It's not finished being published, but the best way is probably through my social media, which is under Sheila Tyson,
Okay.
or my email address, sytyson5@gmail.com.
Okay.
My website is still being built.
Okay. No, that's awesome. Now, how about the organization?
Coming to Kings, it's got a website. It's on all the social medias under Coming to Kings. So they can even get through there.
So it's under comingofkings.com? Is that the web?
No, .org.
Oh,
comingtokings.org.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we got Coming to Kings is on every social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. That's spread out. So
no, that's good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, did you have any parting words about Love's Pain that you want to leave with the audience? I want you to talk to that person that might be the Asia out here. Talk to them if you can for a minute.
Asia, I want you to get the book, and I want you to read the book. And then once my website's up, I want to sit and talk. I want to have roundtables. I want to talk about the different issues that people are facing and what we can do to help each other, because you might not even know you're in a bad relationship because you might be so used to it, to where somebody's knocking you around is the norm, So that's what we want to talk about, just bring it to the table and see if we can't come up with healthier relationships. See if we can't show our youth healthier relationships.
And that's the truth, because I'm saying, I don't know about you, Sheila, but I listen to YouTube, and I see on YouTube, and you just see on social media, period. You listen to that generation, that younger generation, and I'm like, when it comes to relationships, and I'm like, oh
yeah,
I'm like, what are we doing? And what's that next generation gonna look like?
Yeah.
That's what scares me. And I'm just like, no, we gotta do better. We got to be
better
careful of what we teach that next generation.
Kids.
Because it's I mean, and I saw it because I listened to that millennial generation. I think that's what they call them, that 40 to 20 year age range. And I remember having some of those same conversations. And I think it's more readily out there now just because of technology and everything like that. But I think the conversations that they're having now are even more, believe it or not, I believe are even more toxic. And I'm like, where is that going to leave their children? Because they're now having children. So I'm like, wow, that's the important part of what you were saying, of sitting down and talking about.
Yes, talk about what's going on. I'm part of the generation in which I think we have to kind of throw the blanket over and help the next generation with their kids.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. So I want to thank you, Ms. Tyson, for joining me. This has been a pleasure. This is one of those conversations I believe that needs to be had.
Yes.
And it's so needed, and we need to have them over and over and over, because I believe we're too busy talking at each other like this, as opposed to talking to each other and coming up with those viable solutions to these toxic relationships. And I appreciate what you do with those young men, because you're teaching the young men at an early age what the expectation is of them, but also how they should be treated, and then how they should treat others. And I think that'll go a long, long way to any manner of the relationships that we've talked about. Tonight too. So I appreciate it. One more time, if you can give the contact information for people that want to reach out to you, and then how they can pre-order the book.
Okay, the email would probably be the best way for now, sytyson5@gmail.com, or any of my social media pages under Sheila Tyson.
I
You'll
love it.
find me.
I
Mhm.
love it. I love it. I love
Thank you
it.
for having me. This was
No,
fun.
no, I appreciate you taking time out of your earlier day to your busy schedule, be able to talk about it, like you said. Because the more we talk about it, the more people see it, the more
Yeah.
people understand that it does need to be talked about. So definitely, I appreciate you coming onto the showcase, joining the National Black Unity News family, being a part of the showcase, and the messages that we put out there, and putting it out, and how important it is. So it's another episode, y'all. That's all I have to say. We trying to feed you. We trying to give you that good
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you.
We trying to give that good stuff to you all. But this has been another episode of the Author Showcase, brought to you by the National Black Unity News and JNF Enterprises. You can get the current issue of the National Black Unity News at www.tnbun.com. Do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to the newspaper so that you can get it delivered directly to your door. It's a quarterly newspaper, so you can get it 4 times a year. And I promise you, the articles, in addition to the author showcase that you see in this newspaper, you're not going to see anywhere else. Because we talk about things in the National Black Unity News that other mainstream media does not talk about. And that's why we have the author showcase, because we hopefully give a platform to authors who you might not readily see in mainstream media, but giving them the opportunity to be able to talk about their mission, their message, their movement, their motivation, all of those great things about them going beyond their books. We want you to buy their books. We certainly want you to support them and to buy their books. That's why we're there. But we also want to give you the opportunity to know who they are. So when you're reading the book, you're like, oh yeah, Sheila did say something about this. I remember when she said this or that. She said I did need to talk about this. So I'm gonna go talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
Right. So we hope that these episodes are things that feed you. You can go to our YouTube channel, the National Black Unity News YouTube channel, and you can see other great authors such as Sheila Tyson that are there as well. And we want you to like, subscribe, comment there as well. We just enjoy hopefully bringing you content that is enlightening, empowering, and impactful, because that's what we aim to do. We aim to teach you something, equip you with something, and then impact you to want to do something. And as I always say, it's 2022, it's building season. We want to build a better you in 2022. And we also want you to be able to be better by the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year. And we do that by bringing you authors in the author showcase, such as Ms. Sheila Tyson, who just pour into us and hopefully poured into you. So this is Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., the Impact Builder, and we'll talk to y'all next time. Have a good one.